World Rugby rankings for the 16th of August are out. There's not a lot doing in terms of the changes in the teams after the first round of the Rugby Championship. But we'll go over how things are looking, some of the upcoming fixtures, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on how accurate or not the world rankings are. They always kind of attract a bit of debate. I've done a full video on how the world rankings work previously, but I guess know for this video that it is a points exchange system, the World Rugby ranking. So to go up, you need to take points off somebody else, and to go down, you need to give your points to somebody else. So that's kind of the basic way it works, with a caveat that if you're too far above another team, you don't end up taking any points off them. That will become a point slightly later in the video. But yeah, you can see South Africa still number one, 94.20. You may be asking yourself, did they go up with their victory over Argentina? The answer is no. And again, it's because the gap is too much between them and Argentina, and they were at home with the Springboks, so no points taken from Argentina. And you may be asking yourself, well, what about the games against the British and Irish Lions? Surely that victory saw South Africa kind of consolidate their position on top. Well, again, it's points exchange. The British and Irish Lions aren't a world ranked team, so no, that didn't do anything for their rankings whatsoever. So Australia, South Africa is just kind of sitting pretty. No changes since the Rugby World Cup 2019. They're still pretty comfortably at the top. New Zealand, whilst they're still in second, no changes to their log position. They have actually increased their number from 89.10 to 89.29, so it's a very slight increase. They did take points off Australia, but again, not many. It wasn't like they took 1 or 2 points off. There was just kind of, points of a point. So a slight increase for the All Blacks. If they keep getting wider apart, these two teams, then again, the same happened with Argentina and South Africa. They will stop taking points off Australia, which may be a good thing for the Aussies because they play us a lot. England, Ireland, and France, 3rd, 4th, and 5th respectively. They haven't played any games recently, so kind of no changes. Remember, France were down a little bit after their series loss to Australia. Ireland, did they get a little bit of points from Japan? I think they did. Maybe it was marginal. And then England, again, they played Canada and USA a month or so ago, and they didn't get any points because the gap between those teams is too great. Argentina, I mentioned, are up. Australia are down. And I mentioned Argentina, although they're up here, they didn't actually gain anything in terms of their points because they lost. You don't get any points for losing. Even if it was a close loss, you wouldn't get any points. That's the way the system works. But because Australia have gone down, Argentina are the kind of lucky ones to take over. Now, Argentina do get a second crack at the Springboks this weekend. And if they win that one, they would potentially go up to, I think, 4th if it was a close win, or even 3rd if it was a big win. So, yeah, there's a lot for them to do if they can get a victory. I don't think there'll be any change if they lose again. Remember, they lost pretty comfortably, 32-12 to the Springboks in that first game. So if the Springboks win again, as they are kind of favoured to do, then there'll be no changes between the teams. They will just kind of be steady as she goes. The Wallabies, like I mentioned, they're down. They don't play the All Blacks this week. They'll be playing them next week. COVID's meant a bit of a disrupted kind of rugby championship fixtures list, so it's kind of good in that there's a game on this weekend. There's no off week. There's a game on, and that'll mean there's a game on next week as well. So the Wallabies will prepare for that one. And because they're in pretty much the same position, the same could happen if the Wallabies beat the All Blacks in a fortnight's time. They could go up to 4th, they could go up to 3rd, and I don't think there's going to be much change at all if they lose. Maybe they will go down marginally again, but again, not by enough to drop below Scotland. Scotland's in 8th. Six Nations champions Wales are in 9th. Their loss to Argentina didn't help them in terms of the Rugby World rankings. It's just weird that a Six Nations champion team can be that low, but again, you don't get any bonus points for winning a trophy. It's just all points exchange in head-to-head matches. Japan, Fiji, Georgia, 10, 11, and 12. Remember, Fiji lost to the All Blacks, but there's no points exchange given how far below they were. The All Blacks, they didn't drop them any points, and again, they didn't get anything for losing. Samoa, Italy, Tonga, and the US. Now, the US do have upcoming games against Canada next month. Rugby World Cup qualifying games, I believe. So they're going to go kind of with a double header. One game where America's at home, and then one game Canada's at home. Canada's like in 22nd, and will be big time underdogs against the States, but those teams don't like each other very much, so you never know what could happen there. The world ranking is always a bit of a weird one, that Italy is that low because you can't get any points for losing, and they tend to lose almost all their Six Nations games. They don't get that many chances to get points off teams. So yeah, whereas Georgia tends to play teams more that they are comfortable to beat. So Georgia ends up winning more points on the log, but head-to-head, Italy tends to win those games when they do meet. Not that that's very often. But anyway, those are the Rugby World Rankings. As I mentioned, the main change is Australia is down. Argentina is up. Uruguay's in 17th, Romania 18th, Portugal 19th, Spain 20, and Hong Kong 21. We've still got some Rugby World Cup spots up for grabs. Remember, Samoa secured their one with their win over Tonga. Tonga has gone down below Italy since then. So there's been a little bit of movement, but in terms of from last week to this week, the only change is the Aussies being down. So, yeah, we look forward to Argentina against South Africa this week, and then New Zealand up against Australia again next week. Then the Rugby Championship will go on. We'll see the All Blacks take on Argentina, Australia take on the Springboks, and then All Blacks South Africa is going to be massive because that's 1 and 2. And then Argentina, Australia, given their log positions, also could be pretty interesting as well. Plus Canada, America, like I mentioned. And then, man, we've got the end of year matches. So there's heaps of rugby coming. It's good news, folks. You guys let me know your thoughts. How do you reckon these teams are kind of ranked? Real positions in terms of who you think would beat who versus the official positions. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.